Hi, welcome back to the Pandemic Push-Up YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Germ G, or Germ, it's fine. Um, I'm actually a former college professor, and I always went on a first name basis with my students. So, not that I'm being a professor here, but that's just what my previous vocation was. But thanks for visiting the channel. Thanks for the views and the likes. Um, please. If you want, you can subscribe as well. I would love to have you as a subscriber and follower of the channel. The channel is inspired by the blog, also called The Pandemic Pushup. So I just want to quickly I was having a moment here, just thinking about life, because I'm approaching 50, not quite there. I got a few years to go, but you know I'm just having one of those moments where I just ask myself, if you could go back to your 20s and your 30s, what would you do differently in regards to nutrition and fitness? And I have to say, for me, food was always a central part of my life experiences in college, with travel, with family, dating. Food was always, a central part for me. You know, hanging out late at night at, the local diner, you know, or when you travel somewhere, you go to the local food market, or you try different things. You're not thinking about. I wasn't thinking about the calories, or the how much sugar, or how much unsaturated fat might be in a particular food item, or you know how this may be contributing to my cholesterol, or other numbers that may or may not be of interest to you watching this. But anyway, um, the point though is that, yeah, it's hard to say. When I think, like, what could I do differently? What would I have done differently? I would say that I would have been more curious. When I think back to my 20s and 30s, I have the privilege of being in a variety of situations where food really was central. And I think at times I took for granted the different types of foods that I had exposure to, or things that, from simple things like hummus to different types of berries that I would see at a market in a random place or country, or different types of cheeses that I had the privilege of tasting. I spent some time in Latin America, some time in East Africa, and just so many little things when it comes to food, not just the way it's made, but where it comes from, and sort of I did that some, but I don't think I did it enough, And I mentioned this in the previous video, but like I would look at some of my former bros at college eating the hummus, and I'd be thinking, what are they eating? Like, what is that? And I wish I would have just taken more curiosity to find out what it was. Like, what? Why don't you find out what they're eating? What it's made of. I think to some degree I had a very narrow view of what good eating was, and I enjoyed what I ate, but I just wished that I took more time to be curious about other types of foods and where they come from, whether they were nutritious or not. Just thinking about the connections that food has to so many other parts of life, you know, and how food can shape and impact our relationships, but also our understanding of the world around us. And so I would say that if I could go back, if I could take some knowledge from today back, I would tell myself to be more open about what you're eating or what you're seeing, around you, in markets. Go to a food market, go to your grocery store, go to your corner store, go to different places, see what's out there, ask questions, even if, people are a little irritated. Ask questions, listen, 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 learn, absorb, reflect, and just think about where the food comes from, how it's made, good or bad, because there's some questionable stuff when it comes to where our food comes from, which oddly enough, I actually started to study this in graduate school, but I dropped it because I decided to take my research in a different direction, a completely different direction. How ironic. I was actually studying the genetic modification of foods and the politics of that process, but I let it go. So, anyway, yeah, so just thinking back and wondering, what could I have done differently? I think that would have been one thing. I think another thing might have been to be a little bit more serious with the gym in terms of, you know, if I didn't know what I look, I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I'd go to the gym, I'd look at other people doing exercises. I didn't have the interest to go deeper and open books related to. I mean, I did buy a book about, doing exercises with weights, but I didn't go any further with it. You know what I mean? I was a fair weather, I don't know what you would call me. I was fair weather about exercise. I certainly didn't, do much with body weight. I did a few push-ups here. I couldn't even do sit-ups back then, so which is for me, it still blows my mind when I do sit-ups here at home, and I'm like, wow, I can actually do them. I can actually get up and do them. I couldn't do them. I couldn't do sit-ups, 5, 10, 15. I couldn't do sit-ups. And people would say, wow, some people that know me would say, wow, you didn't look that big, man. Well, that's because I wore a lot of big clothes. I still wear big clothes. I wear a lot of baggy clothes. I hide, I've always hid myself in that respect because I was always self-conscious about my appearance because I was always, for most of my life, on the chunkier side, and you know, and those that were exposed to it, they would tease me about it. So I just shied away from it. So yeah, so I think if I could go back, I would be more curious, more interested in learning more about the different ways that I could exercise and maybe, you know, ask myself like what holds me back from taking a greater interest. So yeah, so those were some of the things that if I could go back, this is what I would, you know, I guess explore with my younger self. But I guess the great thing is that you know those shortcomings, those missed opportunities have value today uh, because of my current realizations of those shortcomings. Because I realized where I missed opportunities and you know where I failed. I've learned something now that can help me and maybe someone else who is on their journey. And that's really the point of all this for me is just to, well, in part because I'm like, wow, it's it's really blown my mind in such a way where like I have way more to talk about than I probably should or need to. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share this with anyone that may be at one point or another in their journey. Maybe you're in your 20s or 30s, and you're experiencing all sorts of things but you're too preoccupied with, real, understandably, difficult or challenging responsibilities, depending on your goals, depending on your situation. But, you know, so maybe something from this video may resonate with you, or if you're in my situation where you're not old, but you're older, you're beginning of middle age, or in middle age, or maybe you're close to middle age, where you've lived enough to look back. Um, you know, Maybe this resonates with you in some way. I don't know. Okay, I did not intend for this to be a 11-minute video. I thought it would be a short, but obviously, a lot on the brain when you're drinking tea with cloves. Yeah, I just checked out a YouTube video about putting cloves in tea, and I have cloves here. I just oddly enough didn't think to try it with my tea. But there you go. Learn something every day. I hope this helps. And if it doesn't, hey, thanks for watching anyway, and see you next time. Like, subscribe, share, visit thepandemicpushup.com. Peace.